Hello, welcome back to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White. In yesterday's episode, we began with Ashley Hillstead's powerful story of childhood trauma and professional dreams. Today, we dive into the reality of workplace bullying and gaslighting that would ultimately reshape her entire life's purpose. As someone who's experienced similar professional trauma, Ashley's description of these moments hits close to home. But it's in these darkest moments where the seeds of transformation often take root, I suppose. Join us as we continue this raw and honest exploration of what happens when career dreams meet workplace nightmares. Still makes me frustrated that these people exist. Anyway, please share with a friend. I'm sure there's somebody in your life that's been affected and needs support. We're here to help. Here's part 2 with Ashley. Is it a way of trying to take the emotion? I know there's a story, but is it about a way of trying to take the emotion out of the memory, so we're turning that trauma? I suppose we don't want trauma to be traumatic anymore, do we? So is it about taking the emotion out of the memory, so it's more looking at turning towards wisdom maybe, and using it as a way of moving forward?
So a lot of the times when you're in a session, the stories aren't there. So it's just the emotion that needs to come out of the body, and you're not reliving the trauma. So that's why I love this type of modality in this work because like for example, if I'm comparing it to talk therapy, when you're speaking to a therapist, they are asking, okay, so what happened here and da 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 da, and you're almost like reliving it, and you're
Yeah,
reliving that trauma, right?
yeah, yeah.
The body doesn't need to know the story. The body just already knows it's in the body, right? It's that blockage. So it's just needs to come up and process and be released, and then there you go. You've kind of like alchemized it to again that high frequency.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and
Because
it's
when you
like go ahead.
no, you go.
um, you're also giving that space to connect the conscious and the subconscious. So a lot of how we make decisions and just how we go about life is our subconscious, and we don't even realize it because that's our programming in the body, and those are our habits, right? So you have that space to kind of bridge the gap between the two and become aware and have that space to then rewire and change your trajectory.
Mm.
So that's why it's so powerful. You have the space to like sit down and like update, rework, reboot, like,
Yeah,
and go on your merry way.
because it's neuroplasticity, isn't it? If you're telling your brain something, and you're training your brain to be negative, then you're going to attract negativity.
hmm
Um, and if you're just like if when we go on, it is weird, isn't it, when people go to certain sessions and they're asked to talk about it, but you're just getting deeper into it. We're not actually working on ourselves in a really healthy way. When you're on certain recovery courses, they get people to repeat, I am an addict, or I am. If you keep saying you are, well, then yes, you are going to continue to be so.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not about denying that you are. It's understanding that you have been, but we don't have to be anymore.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Um, what about? I've got another one here. Talk to me about this picture here. And for anyone who's listening on Apple, because it's not video, could you explain what's happening in the picture as well?
Yes. Okay. So this was a ceremony that I partook.
I don't actually know now.
I know, right? This is a ceremony that I went through when I was completing my training.
Yep.
So it's a purifying ceremony. So after you've done all of the energy work and become attuned to holding space, you go through a purifying ceremony. But this, I really loved sharing this photo because, again, that was a huge turn for me and a huge pivot point of like, I guess I can even kind of compare it to like a baptism. You're like feeling
Yeah.
reborn. It was very cleansing, and my body when this water hit me like shook a little bit, and it just felt so light and opening, and like this is the start of your new journey, Ashley, or I guess not even new journey, but like what you've been kind of going through with the hell that you just went through and all of the pain and all of the bullying. Like this is now the rebirth, and you're now of service to others to kind of help them move through that.
And so, do you do this to other people now?
No, I don't do purifying ceremonies, but I do the energy work, the energy and somatic therapy ceremonies. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And is there any other examples or any stories that stick out? Not stories, but I suppose clients that you can share without obviously giving names away. Just any good feel stories that you can share of anything that sticks to you from what they've been through to what they're doing now through you being a part of it, the journey in their recovery and their healing.
So I've had a couple of clients that share. So another thing too is like it can be a very vulnerable space. So it's
Yeah.
all really like what they choose to share with afterwards. Um, but I've had a lot of clients, especially that are working through womb work. So clients that'll come in and they are trying so hard to become pregnant.
Mm.
I've had a client that was going through the IVF treatments and it was failing. And she's just felt so defeated. And then she came to do energy work and then eventually got to have a period again. Like this was like a huge leap for her. Like she had not gotten back to her own cycle after having all these IVF treatments. So she's kind of gotten back into her body in that sense. And yeah, she's going to continue to try, but I think there's just a lot of clearing and it takes a little bit to get to, where they want to be with,
And is it
all that.
down to chronic stress? Do you think? Is
Yes.
it? Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. So her
But it
having that
also,
period then she worked through that chronic stress with you, and that's what probably allowed the body to able to reintroduce those hormone releases in the body to be able to have a period, which is probably the next step in order to be healthy to fall pregnant, right?
right, right, right. So that's the thing too is the womb is a very sacred space and a lot of suppressed emotions get
Mm.
caught in the reproductive area. And so the womb or reproductive organs, as we know, it creates life. It's a center for creation, right? So when that is blocked and when you're suppressing all of those emotions in that area, there's huge blockage. So there cannot be creation, whether you want to create life, you want to create an idea, you want to, create change, like any type of creation, right? So I have found a lot of clients come to me and they're either processing a miscarriage or they want to become pregnant or they're infertile or whatnot because again they have all of that suppressed trauma in that area, and not even just for women, for men as well, like in that reproductive area.
Yeah.
So it's very, very common that can get blocked and not free flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
I've got one more picture that I do want to share because I think this is in the topic of what we're still talking about, so it makes sense. Explain this one for us.
Yes, yes. Again, this is some more energy work. So this is again, you can see me now touching the body. So this is a acupressure point. So
Hmm.
not acupuncture. Obviously, I'm not new using needles in this photo.
Yep.
Um, but there are pressure points that help guide the energy, so help guide some of those blockages that may be stuck in the body. This specific area is usually sadness or grief. Yeah. So
Hmm.
like next to the heart.
Yep.
So when activated or when kind of lightly touched, it can stimulate and help those kind of move through.
Yeah, beautiful. And have you had any topics come through to you that are connected to your journey? Like you're coming and connecting with me about our journey. It's very similar.
Hmm.
Has anyone come to you with workplace bullying, maybe, and you felt a connection with them in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's
Wow.
another two. Like, actually, I should have mentioned that. There's a lot of clients that come to me that want to leave their jobs or want to quit because the environment is just so toxic. So
Yeah.
again, they're coming to me and they're feeling stuck and they're feeling exactly how I felt of like, I love what I do. I love my job, but the environment, I know it's not good for me. And I know, my boss and the higher ups are just not, they don't have my best interest at in hand and at mind. So yes, I get lots of people that also come there because what happens is you're confused. Like, you thought that this is what you wanted, you thought that this is the job you liked and loved, but then, here you have again a toxic environment that's questioning all of that. And you're like, I need to leave, but I like this work and I like who I work with and I like,
Yeah.
so it becomes very conflicting. And then you become stuck. And then you're like, well, maybe I should stay. Maybe it's just me,
Yeah.
And so, yes, I get lots of people that come and some have ended up quitting their jobs after. So if you want to quit your job, come get some energy work.
But that energy work has allowed them to understand their body at a deeper level and become stronger within themselves. So they've actually got the confidence to turn around and say, and put their boundaries up, right? Put those boundaries up and go, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go and find something else. And people do stick in that moment and go, it's not always green on the other side. Why I take that risk? But sometimes the body just needs not a break. I want to say break, but to rebuild so this never happens again.
Right.
Because it's not okay to go
Right.
down that road. And I know the other end is to improve leaders and hire people who have the ability to connect and not just get in that position in their job because they're good at the job they were doing and then they're given the job and then not taught how to lead, because it's not all their fault either. One, they don't might prepare themselves in the morning well to lead with purpose or even live with purpose, and then they go to work thrown in the deep end and they need to look like they're doing their job to their boss, which then equals, if we're going off a mathematical equation, they're just fucking shit at leading people. And I see it every freaking day. So
No, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and the wonderful thing about energy work, and it's done wonders for me too, is it gives you the space to connect to your body. So it connect to body, connect to intuition of like, no, this is actually where I should be and what I ultimately want to do, rather than just thinking in the head of like, do I want to leave my job? I don't know. I think I want to go. I'm not sure. So fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, for me, I got let go. I got fired. So everyone's like, "Oh, that's so lucky of you." And I think it was a blessing too. I mean, ultimately I was going to leave. I decided, I was like, I'm going to leave in December. And then I got let go in September. So I was like, "Okay, well, this is actually really true."
Yeah.
But other people, maybe that doesn't happen for them, right? And then it's like, how long do you stay? Like, do you wait until it's just unbearable or you're physically ill, or like, how long do you wait? So
Yeah.
I've had, again, clients come to me and they've done the energy work and they've gained that power, they've gained that knowledge of like, no, this is my time, and then they've put in their resignation, or they have found something else and they finally have like made the move.
Yeah. See, that's how it was for me. I couldn't leave because I was sponsored by the school. Being from England, coming to Australia, I was sponsored on a visa. So if I quit that job, yes, I could have gone and got for another job. And I did actually, nobody knows this, but I actually went and sat with another principal at another school. But they could only guarantee me a year. And I was on an ongoing contract at the school that I was at. And to sponsor me, I didn't have the money to pay that sponsor. I'd have to fill out all the forms again, which take forever, which I would have done, but there was no guarantee after that. I was so close to crossing a threshold. So in a way, yes, we always have choices of 100%, but I felt stuck because
Yeah.
of the pressure of, I had a partner and we had a house and a dog. Otherwise, it was flying back to England in 30 days. If you don't have a job, then you've got to go back. And then it could have gone into a bridging visa, but I was just struggling mentally. I was already depleted massively anyway. So the energy and effort to do that wasn't there for me. So I felt definitely stuck, and that's just what made me even more paranoid and more anxious, and wasn't myself even when the bullies weren't there anymore, because the truth eventually came out. And then for those who do work at the school still, or did, they probably don't even know that side. They're probably still guessing, really not understanding the full story. And I don't need to go through that anymore. I don't need to fix those in their minds. I'm okay with it. But
Yeah.
I in the moment, I was definitely stuck, and just not sure what to do, and my body just spoke to me, and I just lost everything about myself. It's a
Yeah.
fucking terrible situation. But back to you then. So you went on your actually, before I go there, what do you do now then? We know what you're doing to heal, but what do you do personally for you then in the morning or on a daily basis? What are your habits to be present every day?
Yeah. So this is a habit that I actually picked up when I was in the workspace bullying
Oh.
because yeah, this is it was driving me nuts and I needed some form of sanity, right? So I have always been a big fitness person, so I'll usually go to the gym. And I was doing tons of fitness programs at the time, but meditation was a new one for me when I was in the workspace. That is where I kind of picked up that. And I ended up first doing, again, a challenge. I'm a huge, like, okay, let's do a 21-day challenge. It helps me keep to it, and that sort of thing. So I continue to meditate. It's definitely evolved over time. Before I was very strict on it, and I would find a specific place in the house and I would do it for 15 minutes and I would do, a nice guided meditation. Now it's kind of evolved into sometimes I do guided, sometimes I do just my own meditation, sometimes I'll just listen to music, sometimes I'll just take a longer shower and visualize. So it's just meditation for me, I think before what I defined it as has now evolved and I've made it my own. And I think that's really important for anyone that's picking up on a habit or, do something for your well-being. It doesn't need to look black and white. Like
Mm.
it's meant to help you. The tool is meant to support and help you. So how you bring that into your lifestyle is ultimately what's going to keep you consistent and keep you, I'd say disciplined, but I would say passionate is a better word.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So
I
long
love that.
answer, meditation.
Yeah, no.
Meditation has always been part of my routine. And then going outside, so any type of like a walk outside or just gazing into the sun for a few minutes, but those are like my main and drinking water in the morning, but those are like my main three things.
Yeah, and that's all. That's very powerful. It seems so simple, doesn't it? But it's yet so powerful. I had a neuroscientist on here the other week, and quite a well-known neuroscientist here in in the UK and here in Australia. And we just went back to basics. Drinking, like you say, drinking some glasses of water. I have a glass of water now in the morning. I try and drink a whole glass as soon as I wake up. Sometimes, I get busy with the kids or whatever there, and I don't get to it. But drinking some water, and I've noticed the difference on the days versus I walk my dog in the morning with the sun versus the days that I don't.
Mhm.
I also notice the difference the days I don't do cold water exposure versus the days I do. My mental clarity and me being more present in my job, and even I'm not a creative guy, but I've created all this artwork for the podcast, and I'm not creative at all, but somehow I've got this creative edge, and I don't mean I'm the most creative, but I don't think the old Andy would have done that, I'd have just paid somebody to do it, but I was like, no, I'm forced because I don't have the money anyway. But still, I just those little things have made a huge change in my life, and they're so simple, but
Yeah.
it's what we used to do
Yeah.
thousands of years ago. We didn't have warm water. We didn't have all these fizzy drinks to fill in these gaps and give us energy. We just had bare essentials, and I think if we go back to that, um, but it does. I think to the world, I'm not fluffy or anything. I like to look at the science behind it and how it works, and then use my own science and my own little experiments. And I've reversed back pain. I've reversed chronic autoimmune issues. Are they fixed? No, because if I fall into that life of having sugar and not doing the cold water or the breath work during the cold water, my pain's back. But I
Yeah.
know on the when I've done it on a long period of time, I seem to have reversed a lot of the issues that I have, and
Mhm.
I just love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Back to you then, going back to the Bali, and you didn't understand trauma or didn't know the definition of trauma, you didn't think you had trauma, and then you started to realize some of the things. Let's go back where you realized you had some form of trauma. I think you referred to childhood.
Yes. Yeah. So that was a huge thing. When I first went to Bali, I decided, hey, I'm here. I'm going to try all of the things. So I was trying all of the healing modalities because if you've been to Bali, that's like the healing mecca, and they have a plethora of all of the different things: breath work, energy work, tantra, cold exposure. Like they just have all the different things. And they have
Yeah.
like fusions of things too, all types of different instructors and guides that kind of put their own twist on things. So there's plenty to choose from. And so my time there, I was like, this is going to be for me. And I'm kind of just going to discover what's speaking to me and I'll try all the things. So I went to a breath work and energy healing session as my first go. And that rocked my world. Like,
Um,
I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know. Yeah, that was like my first go at things. And a lot of things came up that I didn't even realize were in my body and what I had still been holding on to. And so on the very surface, like what was ready to be seen and heard was my experience as a child with my dad being a recovering alcoholic. Well, at the time he wasn't recovering, but I didn't realize how much of a role that it played in my adult life because we've passed that. He's now recovering. He is sober. Got sober right before my 21st birthday, which was kind of funky and weird for me. But um, I don't know how it is in the UK or the in Australia, but in the US, you have to be 21 to drink.
yes, it's 18. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was like, I think it's 18. So in the US, you are 21 to drink. So it was right before my 21st birthday that he became sober. So that was also like a weird, interesting time because I wasn't sure if I should be able to drink, to
Mm.
be respectful
Yeah.
of him. So yeah, there's just like a lot of different tiers to it. And so in that first session of breathwork and energy work, all of the emotions came to surface. Like I was just sad for the little girl that didn't get to experience maybe things that other little girls experience with their dads. And I feel like I'm gonna get emotional, but
Yeah,
that's
that's okay.
yeah, but that's I had to come kind of to terms with that and be okay with that. So it's very comforting, or not comforting, what's the word I'm looking for? In your face, like
Yeah.
so
I think
yeah,
I know what you mean.
yeah, it's just very tough to kind of go through all of those emotions and realize that yes, I guess we can say that this is trauma, even though like I don't know if I love the word trauma
I
because
know what you mean. I think you don't love it because it gets thrown around so much. Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.